With a little treat for you, because I don't know whether you've seen that the Just Stop Oil nutters were down at the Chelsea Flower Show today, but I'm delighted to say that Middle England is finally revolting against them. Here they are throwing sort of orange paint around the place in some kind of powdered form, but you'll see on the right-hand side shortly what can only be described as what looks like a sort of a very proper gardener who wanders over with a hose pipe and just starts spraying them with it. Oh, here she comes.
Good for her.
Isn't that great?
Well,
so it's kind of the revenge of the middle classes, finally.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So it took Chelsea Flower Show to sort everybody out.
Yes. It's a shame it's just water, really, isn't it?
Well, it could have been paint. If it was paint, that would have been better. All that stuff they spray on.
It could have been napalm.
Well, you did. I was thinking more of that stuff that when you open the bags full of stolen money, and it's just that ink that indelible ink that never leaves you.
Yes,
you walk around like a blue-faced for the rest of the time. We should have a quick honorary mention, should we not, Rod, to Mr. Ed Davey, or Sir Ed Davey. Nobody can tell me what he got his knighthood for. I don't know whether you know, do you?
Yes, but I can't repeat it on television for being I think he's one of the most ludicrous politicians that we've ever had in this country. He is an absurdity.
Yeah.
And a half-wit. I've been in debates with him, and he's as I suggested in The Sun, he seems to have the intellectual capacities of a hamster's nutsack, which is the only way I can put it. And he has now delivered himself of the opinion that women can have penises.
Quite clearly, in his words.
Quite clearly have been. Well, it would be clear, I suppose, if they had them.
Yeah.
There'd be that bulge. This is counter, of course, to science. It's counter to common sense. It's
and biology.
And to biology. It's counter to everything. And I think it would be interesting. The Lib Dems are beginning to pick up a few votes from disaffected Tories in the southwest and indeed in parts of the southeast.
Yes.
And I think it would be a good idea if some of these well-brought-up middle-class people just took a bit of a longer look on these woke issues, which we spend too much time probably talking about. The Liberal Democrats are worse than Labour.
Yeah.
They are worse than Labour, and we ought to... I think that some of the people who are now thinking of voting for these morons should take a closer look at the sort of rubbish which spills daily out of Ed Davey's mouth.
But whenever there's any kind of sort of blip in the polls, if you like, and any kind of, suggestion that the two-party system might not be working terribly well, they always think they're going to be in government, and they never are.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. I don't quite see why people don't turn to the Social Democratic Party, which is what they should do, Mike.
Yes.
But there we are.
Well, maybe one day they will. Tell us about your plan to increase the electoral term.
Oh, I wrote about that in the Sunday Times.
Yes, yes, it was the Sunday Times, wasn't it? 12 years instead of 5?
Well, it was just an idea. I mean, one of the main problems which faces us at the moment is short-termism. It's why we've got a housing crisis. It's why we are in hock to half the world for our energy.
Yes.
Because nobody wants to build a nuclear power station because it won't come online for more than 10 years. Therefore, the government won't get any credit for it. And that's true across a whole array of issues, including transport infrastructure and so on. Mm. And it struck me that given that by and large we vote for governments for 10 to 12-year spells, if you look at our history since 1900, almost every government has lasted 10 to 12 years, 17 years in some cases, that it might actually give us a way to get out of the short-termism which dogs the political firmament at the moment, and that a government would have 10 or 12 years to make a plan whereby the investment which they put into science and technology, to nuclear energy or so on, would come to fruition and people would see it. because short-termism really is a problem now. I mean, it's getting worse and worse because of such things as social media and the rise of the professional politician who has no kind of business hinterland and who therefore depends on being re-elected every time. Just an idea. I don't actually want a 1,000-year Reich or anything like that. I mean,
you'll be accused of that, though, of course.
I will, of course, be accused of that, or sounding a bit like Napoleon.
Yes.
Yeah. But I mean, something has to be done to engender a long-term approach to really, really difficult issues, such as migration, for example.
Yeah.
Well,
you're right. I mean, absolutely everything that we touch now has a sort of sound of an emergency. And it's another emergency, and we have to solve the emergency and then move on to the next emergency and then the next emergency. And it kind of just goes round and round in a great big circle of emergencies.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, the chief objection to my idea is, what if it was Corbyn?
Yes.
Or what if it was Liz Truss?
Yes.
And yeah, I see that, but I think that the benefits, I think the electorate would look differently when it came to voting. If they knew that the party was going to be in power for 10 years or 12 years. And I think that even if there were the prospect of Corbyn or Truss getting their mitts on power for 10 to 12 years, the benefits still outweigh the deficits, you know. Because I can't think of another way of avoiding this short-termism. Though one prominent Conservative MP, when he read the piece I'd written, texted me immediately to say, "You want to get rid of short-termism? Abolish the Treasury."